Check us out on Facebook, on YouTube, on Rumble. Also, check out the Patreon group. You can scan the QR code in the upper right. We got some awesome content in there. Tim, let's start off with a little quarterback talk. We always talk about how the quarterback is going to drive the draft every single year, right?
Yep.
And boy, oh boy, did we get a little bit of news today from Dane Brugler. And listen, a lot of rumors get started and this and that. When Dane Brugler talks, I listen. He's one of the people that I respect within the draft community, no doubt about it. And there's a handful of them that I really feel like, okay, they're getting this from a source. And here's what Dane Brugler said. Source, Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe has accepted an invitation to attend the 2025 NFL draft in Green Bay. Now, what does that mean? It could mean he just wants to take in the NFL draft, right? He may be a second, third round pick, but also when you get that invite, seems like more times than not, they're expecting you to go in the first round, right? Again, not a slam dunk, but we've been very, very vocal about Jalen Milroe on this particular show because he's higher than Jackson Dart on our draft board. It doesn't mean that I like him more than Jackson Dart. And when I look at the tape, this just means the data has suggested everything that we put into our draft board that he is a better prospect than Jackson Dart. So if you would, Tim, give me a screen grab real quick. It doesn't matter which one it is. And I'm going to play this clip here real quick. This came from the Ross Tucker Football Podcast as John Daigle. Go give him a follow at not JDAIGLE. And I'll also, of course, make sure you're following at Ross Tucker Pod. One of my favorite podcasts. I listen to it every episode that drops. I listen to it on my daily grind. But John Daigle here on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast says something that's really interesting when it comes to Jalen Milroe. Then we're going to deep dive this quarterback class. You can go ahead with that screen grab for me, Tim. I appreciate it, Mike.
We'll go Suge Hafley and Tupac LaFleur today.
I like it. There you go. Just set the mood here, right? Okay, here it is. John Daigle on Jalen Milroe. Check it out, guys.
I think Jalen Milroe, Oklahoma quarterback, or Alabama quarterback, is also very live for this pick at number 21 overall, and you don't see his name at all in the first round of mock drafts. The Steelers have obviously done a lot of work on quarterbacks because there is just no way they enter the season having given DK Metcalf $150 million and then letting Mason Rudolph throw him the ball in week 1. It's not possible. And so they are taking a quarterback in the first round. I'm just not sure which one. Jackson Dart's the one who's most connected to the first round, but the Steelers did notably, Mike Tomlin, have dinner with Jalen Milroe already. They were also in on Justin Fields whenever he came out in the draft. Maybe they just view under Mike Tomlin, they want to go in a more athleticism direction with the offense. And Milroe would fit that bill maybe even better than Jackson Dart. But I do think they're taking a quarterback at number 21. I think,
and also, I want to say this, and thank you so much for that, Tim. I appreciate it, man. Jackson Dart, listen, Jackson Dart is very, very mobile. I don't think people realize how mobile Jackson Dart is. So he would be a fit there as well, but you've got to prepare. If Jackson Dart ain't there, do you feel good enough about Jalen Milroe to pull the trigger there if you're in Pittsburgh, of course? And again, I know this is a Packers show, guys, but we're talking about quarterback because this is what's going to drive that first round of the draft. We want as many quarterbacks off the board as possible before we pick at 23, right? Drew D says 4 quarterbacks in the first round before us. Heck, yes.
Yes, sir.
Prince came back immediately with what I told you offline just now, Tim. He said, Shuck could make it 5 if we all just believe.
Oh, we believe. At least these 2 guys on this pod believe right here.
Yeah, and again, why are we mentioning that? Because Greg Cosell said he actually has Tyler Shuck as his second best quarterback, even ahead of Shedeur Sanders.
Wow.
So, and he has it listed like, hey, here's where I've got everybody at on my board. But just reading the tea leaves, listening to every breakdown he's done on quarterbacks, what I think he has is Cam Ward 1, Tyler Shuck 2, Shedeur Sanders 3, Jackson Dart 4, then Jalen Milroe 5. Okay. Now, if we look at the consensus big board here, Tim, and just kind of take a quick glance at it from the quarterback position perspective, I should say, this is what they've got. Cam Ward 1, Shedeur Sanders in the 4 spot, Jackson Dart in the 30 spot, which would suggest the first round pick, Jalen Milroe in the 45 spot. Then they've got Will Howard 80, Quinn Ewers 92. They've got Tyler Shuck at 97, although he did peak at 71. So people were seeing Jalen Milroe at 45 and thinking, well, that means he's not a first-round pick. they will reach on quarterbacks, right? Just because he's ranked 45th doesn't mean he's not going to climb into the first round, and people want to utilize that fifth-year option if he is a hit for them. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about all that, man, from the NFL quarterback standpoint here going into the draft? It's going to be interesting to see if 4, maybe 5 quarterbacks go before us.
Yeah, it's like a party, man. The more the merrier, right? Bring them all in. Get all these quarterbacks, man. Where's Kyle McCord at? Is he on that list anywhere?
He's down there in the 114 spot.
Okay,
Tim.
all right,
Let's get him in the first round. Hey, you know what? Riley Leonard, I watched him play at Notre Dame. Hell of a quarterback. Let's get him in the first round.
I was just going to say, let's go. You know, guys fall, guys move up as you head into the draft. It always happens. But I do think what's really interesting about this is because I've been, you know, Jackson Dart's been one of those guys I've been like back and forth on the fence with. And then, you know, Milroe is the next name that comes to mind. So it's real interesting to kind of see the comps that are coming out with him. And it'll be even better to see what happens, in fact, on draft day, if we get 4 or 5 off the board in the first round. That'll be a prime environment for Brian Gutekunst to do what he does best, which is draft top prospects. So like I said, the more the merrier for sure. I think a lot of people with Shedeur right now are kind of, you know, it seems like the general consensus, if you look at the socials, is he's either the truth or he's, you know, he's a bust. You know,
nothing in between, right?
There's like nothing in between with him. So it'll be real interesting to see where he goes. But, you know, you look at Cam Ward, man. I mean, that guy is clearly going to go 1, 2, or 3 probably based on, you know, the way the board kind of crumbles here, for lack of a better term. But I think Jalen Milroe is like, he's kind of like the not the outlier, but like the X factor. You know, if he goes you know, top 10, that could really make things interesting as far as the quarterbacks available in the first round and who might actually end up there. So I'm kind of with Clint here. I could see 5 in the first. That might be the high end, 4 or 5. I'll take it for sure.
And listen, I really like Jalen Milroe. Forget the football, as the leader.
Yeah,
he's a hell of a leader, man. And you talking about a guy who brings that in, not the Jameis Winston energy, which I love too. Don't get me wrong. That dude's just like, he is a soundbite waiting to happen. But Jalen Milroe is just that dude that's constantly thinking, how are my teams seeing me right now? Am I setting the tone? Those type of things, right? I think that's huge. And you know, sometimes teams may go, you know, we got a little bit of work to do there with the mechanics, and maybe he doesn't have quite the arm, but boy, oh boy, that presence, you know, could really make a difference on their team. Let's go to the chat here. As Clint Armchair Quarterback says, I could see 5 in the first, so he agrees. H.E. Solder said, quote, they say Sanders is dropping to the bottom of the first. And Greg Rice had asked, what's the knock on Sanders? The big knock on Sanders, and this, I've heard this from multiple people now. You look at his completion percentage, it's off the charts. It's like, okay, this dude's accurate. But this is why it's important to watch the tape. If you go watch the tape, they threw more. I bet they threw more screen passes than any other team in college football. It was literally 3 to 5 yard passes to Travis Hunter underneath and other play. And that's why Travis Hunter is so dynamic, because that dude, he made chicken salad out of chicken, you know what.
I was just going to say, you have to run your offense like that when your O-line is suspect, you know. And, you know, I think Shedeur faced a lot of pressure, particularly last season. So it explains a lot of why they were trying to get that ball out quick, fast, and in a hurry. A lot of short routes.
Yep, definitely. Harry Cheese in the chat says all the quarterbacks plus some safeties and maybe get the Raiders to draft a kicker. Hey, there's precedent for that. There's precedent for that. Coach Lynn says Tyler Shuck is really buttoned up also, man. I'm telling you, you guys need to go listen to Greg Cosell talk about Tyler Shuck. If you just search on YouTube, I'm sure you can find it. Or just Google Greg Cosell, Tyler Shuck, and make sure you spell the last name right, because it screwed us all up this draft season. But if you hear the way he talks about him, and then to hear that people in the NFL reached out to him, like you seen it too, didn't you? I think there's something there, Coach. I agree with you. Judy, I'm still a Will Howard guy. Hey, I think there's a lot to like with Will Howard. I really do. And he didn't help his draft stock at the combine, right? He was kind of off the mark that day. But watch that drive him down, and then him get taken a little later, and next thing you know, he's a solid starting quarterback in the NFL. Will Howard's got some grit and another leadership guy, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I agree. You know, it's funny too. It's like almost the same mindset with Shedeur. Like, you know, people are kind of on the fence. Did he help himself with his pro day, or did he hurt himself with his pro day? It all kind of depends on how you look at, you know, these workouts and, like we always talk about, how does the film look and how did your last season end? And then like look back to the year before when you're trying to build a profile on a prospect rather than just looking at, your combine or your pro day and, those kind of like agility tests, measurables, things like that. It helps when you're evaluating, but I don't think that should set a player, higher or lower going into the draft. You want to look at the full spectrum of what they're bringing to the table for sure.
Yeah. H.E. Solder says, if this is a good but not great draft with good depth, why not take a swing at quarterback? You said it, not me. All right. I would not be surprised one bit if someone falls and Goody reaches up. Jalen Milroe kind of comes to mind for me. As high as he is on our board, if he does drop to the third or fourth round, I would have no problem with Matt LaFleur pulling the trigger on that, try to flip Malik Willis for a fifth or a sixth, and then you move along with someone like Jalen Milroe being the backup. Now, is that an ideal situation? No. I'm just saying if Goody pulls the trigger on that, I completely understand why, right?
Yep.
For sure.
Especially if he loads up on, like you said, draft picks in another way before that happens, right?
Right.
We've always talked about him having, what do we have, 7 picks this year? He'd probably like closer to 10 if it were up to him. So however you can make some room, if you get a quarterback that falls to you like that, yeah, you absolutely pull the trigger. Best time to take one's when you don't need one, right?
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, we got one comp pick. So we're sitting at 8, I believe.
Okay, so 8. Perfect.
I'm with you, though. He's thinking 10 or 11 is what he wants. So that's how Goody rolls. So if we were to look at the quarterbacks, and again, this is let's keep it sorted here. We should be able to find them. Matter of fact, let me just do a quick search for QB, and then we should be able to identify them pretty soon here, or pretty easy. So if we go QB here, right, and now they will all identify. So our top quarterback is in the number 7 spot, Cam Ward, right? And then our second best quarterback is Shedeur Sanders in the 17 spot. Next quarterback would be Jalen Milroe at 51. Then we have Jackson Dart at 79. Then Tyler Huff at 87. And then we've got Quinn Ewers and Dylan Gabriel in the 111, 112 spot. I think did we miss Tyler Shuck, or is he just that much? There he is right there. So we've actually got Tyler Shuck in the 117 mark. But look at this 7 right here, guys. That means that Greg Cosell, that's the most bonus we'll give for a Greg Cosell bonus. He absolutely loved Tyler Shuck. Now, also, as Tim had pointed out, too, when he was taking notes in the Senior Bowl, Tyler Shuck's somebody who flashed at the Senior Bowl.
Yep.
So I'm not going to change our board to all of a sudden say Tyler Shuck's a borderline first-round pick. I want to stay true to the board. But the reason that he is so low on our board, it's really, really easy to determine. The consensus big board at the end of the college football season had him in the 308 spot. And I want to keep that there to let us know, hey, there's a reason why we're not as high on him as others. It's because nobody really seen him as that until we got later in the draft process. As you can see, Kyle Krabs had him at 91. Dane Brugler had him at 59. Looked like Dane Brugler was ahead of the curve of everybody. Him and Greg Cosell kind of seen it looks like. And, of course, he had an RAS of 9+, and then running a 4.640. So he has Aaron Rodgers' young year type speed is essentially what you got at 6'4" in a quarterback.
Yep.
So there's a lot to like there. Now, there is injury history as well, right? We've talked about that. We don't have an injury box anywhere on here because he is healed up now, right? Like he's completely – we could probably throw one there because it's real simple. That's the reason we don't have a grade there is because he missed the majority, if not all, of 2023. But he was the 21st highest graded quarterback in college football, according to PFF as well. So
it's funny that you bring up the Senior Bowl because, I had 4 quarterbacks on my short list that I thought flashed. The other ones on the list other than Tyler Shuck was Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, and Seth Hennigan. And we just talked about them. So I think it's realistic possibility that we see 5 or more in this first round. I really do. The more we look at this, it seems like it could happen.
Yeah, definitely. So again, we'll keep our eye on the quarterback position. I think that you're going to have good rumors surface. Like all of a sudden, this guy's skyrocketing to the top. You'll have bad ones, and sometimes you got to step back and go, why is that surfacing right now to bring that player down? That probably means someone's trying to get him to drop to them in the first round. So just keep that in mind as we get even deeper into lying season here on April 6th, closing in on the
Exactly.
draft. Which, like Tim had pointed out earlier, man, he put a tweet out there with Randall Cobb, number 18. We are 18 days away from the draft. I'm telling you, it's flying by. And I see some people on Twitter, they're like, God, this draft process is taking forever. I'm like, bro, I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time to get everything done that I want to get done. Like, it's crazy just building the board and everything. You know what I'm saying? There we go. I love it. Look at the turf. Look at the turf and Randall Cobb's helmet there.
What a great shot, right?
Yeah.
Got
One of
the
my favorite Packers.
snow falling, face full of Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
Love it.
And you guys know I'm very like skeptical when the Packers, draft the Kentucky Wildcat or a Notre Dame Fighting Irish because those are my two favorite teams. But boy, oh boy, when they drafted Randall Cobb out of Kentucky, I lost my mind because I've watched that. I watched him from day one completely turn that Kentucky program around. Just a leader. He's to the best of my knowledge, the only Kentucky Wildcat to have a punt return for a touchdown, a kickoff return for a touchdown, throw a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and rush for a touchdown, which was just insane. And I think he actually scored on a 2-point conversion as well.
Oh,
So
I
like
believe it.
did it all. Absolutely all of it. So
It's Randall Cobb again, the infamous.
yeah.